mode, but make it louder. Celebrate someone seated by you with a round of applause as well, if you can. Thank you so very, very much. To all our respected medical professionals present here, partners, volunteers, members of the press, and every hero, good morning, and thank you for choosing to save lives today. Today is not just another event. Today is a life-saving conversation. Today is also that call to conscience. A moment where compassion will definitely meet action. We're gathered here today for Jephthah, Ohiomokhare, Sickle Cell Foundation Blood Donation Drive and Public Advocacy event that is proudly themed Blood for Life, Advancing Sickle Cell Care in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a country where thousands of children are born each year with sickle cell disorder. So just so you know, blood is not a luxury. It is survival. It is oxygen to weaken cells. It is strength to exhaust. Every one of us here that sickle cell is not just a medical condition, it is a national responsibility. And that is why today we all will not be spectators, we will be participants, we will be advocates, and most importantly, we will be lifesavers by the donation of blood that we'll be doing. So as we proceed, let the theme, Blood for Life, let it guide our hearts. Let it guide our hands. Because when you give blood, you don't just give fluid. You give time. You give comfort. Yes, that comfort. And you give someone a chance to live again. It is on this note, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizers, partners, volunteers present here, I'd like to once again welcome every one of you and thank you for choosing to save lives today. My name is Prince Joshua Ehizwela Rabome, and it's an honor to be doing this for humanity today. In furtherance of this timely event, I'd like to make welcome for the national anthem, and please request that we all rise to our feet. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I'd like to make welcome our talented future leaders as they come to help us with the national anthem. Can we all rise to our feet? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A round of applause for them as we take our seats. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you can have your seats. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, and of course, lovers of humanity, the vision we are all gathered here for today, through someone's eyes, a young man who still lives on. But then again, the foundation ably handled by amazing persons who desire the legacy of this young man to continue to live. At this juncture, we'll be having the founder's welcome remark. And this person happens to be a woman who would make every other African woman proud. She's committed to humanity. She's committed to sharing every part of her with humanity. And today, we are honored to have her through this foundation deliver a very strong and solid welcome remark. So please, if your hands are not busy, to that extraordinary woman, a woman who never sits until everyone around her is okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought the women in this room will give her a resounding round of applause for our founder, Senami Ohiomokhare. Please, a round of applause for her as she comes. Make it louder. Come on, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Josh. God bless you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, family. Because truly, it's family that is in this room, honestly, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A lot of you know me to be a talker, so I've guided myself by making sure that I'm scripted so that I can stick to what I need to say, and so I don't say too much. But once again, I really want to thank all of you, and this really is something that is very dear to my heart, and for almost everyone in this room, you know why. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I want to say a very good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Partners, members of the medical community who were here this morning, media colleagues and friends, volunteers, donors, friends, and of course, family. A very good morning to all of you. And on behalf of the board and team of the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation, I warmly welcome you to this very important gathering. Thank you for choosing to be here today and for standing with us in a cause that is deeply personal, profoundly urgent, and nationally significant. You know, Josh tried pronouncing Ohiomokhare. Well, you know me now, I have to pronounce it right. Josh, take note. My name is Senami Ohiomokhare, and I am the executive director and co-founder of the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation, and most importantly, I am Jephthah's mother. The foundation you see today was born out of love, out of loss, and out of a promise that Jephthah's life will continue to speak, a promise that Jephthah's life will serve and save lives. While Jephthah's time here with us was short, his legacy is one that continues to call us to action, call us to make sure that people are aware. It calls us to compassion and to responsibility. Nigeria bears the highest burden of sickle cell disease globally. Yet, awareness, early detection, access to care, and sustained blood availability remains major challenge. How Nigeria is still carries the highest burden of this disease is a marvel to me, because we are a very educated people and we're people who know the choices that needs to be made. But let's say that, you know, we are working towards it to do better and to make sure that the number of Nigerian children born as sickle cell carriers ends. Now, through this blood donation drive and public advocacy event, we aim to save lives immediately through voluntary blood donation, while also advancing conversations around science, policy, media, responsibility, and lived realities of individuals and families affected by sickle cell disease. We are grateful to our partners, our health partners, the National Blood Service Commission, agency, I beg your pardon. Please, a round of applause for them. From the very first moment I called, the answer was yes. I think before I even finished speaking to Dr. Waziri and Mr. Haruna, I just heard, that's what we do. So please, one more time, help me appreciate them for choosing to save lives. And of course, we have medical professionals, like I mentioned, researchers, policymakers, and advocates who have joined us here today. We appreciate our media partners for helping to amplify this message beyond these walls. A very big thank you to AIT. A very big thank you to Channels Television. A very big thank you to Nigerian Info and all the other media houses that are here today. I don't have the list of those who are here, but just know that we are grateful for your time. And to every donor here today, thank you. Indeed, thank you indeed for choosing to save lives. To our volunteers and team members, your decision has made this day possible. To our friends, family, and supporters, your presence is proof that this mission is a shared one. Today, we remember Jephthah, not in silence, but we remember Jephthah in action. Now is not in sorrow alone, because we no longer sorrow over Jephthah, that's the truth, but in hope. A friend of ours was telling us this morning, oh, take heart. And we say, yeah, we are way past that. We're now taking action because of Jephthah. And of course, not just in memory, but in impact. As we proceed with today's program, I encourage each of us to engage fully, ask questions, learn something new, donate blood if you can, and leave here committed to being part of the solution. I would like to also quickly thank some of my, you're all very important to us, I said that before. Rabbi Meidunama, the founder, Meidunama Sickle Cell Foundation, and President Pan-African Sickle Cell Federation. A very big thank you to you. Please, Rabbi, ladies and gentlemen, please help me put your hands together for Rabbi Meidunama. Thank you. Now, Rabbi Meidunama is a sickle cell warrior, and she lives, to advocate. Like she said, I called her, I think it was Friday night, and I said, Rabbi, we need to be on AIT, on Kakaki, on tomorrow morning. And this was around 9:30 to 10. And she was like, anything for the cause. And she was at the station before I got there. Please, a round of applause for Rabbi Meidunama. Thank you very much. In that same spirit has been this man that you wouldn't believe I only just met today, Dr. Ali Yudahiru Waziri. Dr. Waziri is a consultant hematologist and associate professor of hematology and blood transfusion. He is also the head of operations center at the National Blood Service Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me put your hands together. We're supposed to have Professor Nodu as our keynote speaker, but she's in the US and couldn't be here. And I thought through, and yesterday afternoon around 6, I said, Dr. Waziri, I've come again. Would you do this? And he agreed. Thank you, Dr. Waziri. It means a lot to me. Thank you, sir. And I'm yet to meet her, Matron Juliet Iyobosa, from the Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training, University, ABUJA. She is in charge of the newborn screening program and the research nurse at this center. Matron Juliet, where are you? Please, let us see you, please. A round of applause for Matron. Thank you, Matron. Thank you so much. And of course, also under very short notice is Dr. Patrick Moru, a research fellow at the Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training. Dr. Moru, thank you. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And I would love to appreciate this personal person of mine, my dear sister, Maokbe Ogun of Channels Television. This woman, we have so much in common. Believe it or not, we are both from Badagry in Lagos State. And not just that, we are both married to Edo men, and then we are both broadcast journalists. What are the odds that we have that much in common? Please, one more time, put your hands together for my sister. Thank you, Maukwe. Thank you. Thank you also for being here. And my two beautiful, adorable friends, Salamatu Ibrahim, who's going to be moderating the panel discussion shortly. Sally, please stand up. Let them see you. Salamatu and I presented Kakaki, the African Voice, for years. And of course, the one I call Aduma Adom, my friend and sister, Tosin Obiakeme, also a broadcast journalist. We all worked in AIT for decades before we decided to chart new courses in different places. So I appreciate all of you. And of course, my big auntie, from under whom I started learning broadcasting, Auntie Joy, Joy Adomioya. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Auntie Susan. You know, if I keep calling everybody, we will not leave here today. But I just want you all to know that it means the world to me that you are here. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much for coming. So once again, welcome. Thank you for standing with us. Together we can ensure that no child's life is cut short simply because help came too late. Thank you, and God bless you.
I thought we'll keep clapping till she gets her seat, ladies and gentlemen. What a powerful, powerful keynote address, if you ask me. Thank you very much, our founder. Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of humanity. Just before we proceed to the next item on the program, I'd like to respectfully request that we all rise. We're not mourning Jephthah today. Can we all rise, please? Thank you very much. And now for the next 25 seconds, which signifies the year 2025, we will be giving a thunderous round of applause to Jephthah. You know, I know he is looking down on us, and he is so proud of his mother, his father, and every one of you here today that would be donors. So at the count of 3, make sure you clap so loud that Jephthah will take note of you and say thank you without his very warm smile. So, 1, 2, 3. Can we give a resounding round of applause to Jephthah Ohiomokhare? Make it louder, make it louder, make it louder. 25 seconds, 25 seconds. I can hear you clapping. I can hear you clapping. Yes, 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 yes. And that's to Jephthah. That's to Jephthah. That's to Jephthah. Thank you, thank you. We have 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds. Keep it clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. 10 seconds. 10 seconds for Jephthah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before you take your seats, we'll do this little exercise. For those of us behind, I mentioned before we started that we have plans for Christmas gifts to some people here. You know, Jephthah was a giver. He would always give to you. And even in death, he's still giving that part of him. So those of us behind, can we, pay attention to the ushers to redirect us to some new seats? You might just be lucky to sit on something that would be a gift for you before the end of the event. So those of us behind, you could just walk towards the usher to my left. Yes, please, please, let's make it quick. Let's make it quick, those of us behind, so that we all have a compact position for those of us watching online, so we don't have empty seats. Make sure there's no empty seat in front of you. That's just the aim. Thank you very much. Thank you for moving. Thank you. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for your time. Dr. Waziri, thank you for coming. But I think you should be in front here with our founder. Yes, Dr. Waziri, please come forward, please. Thank you. I think this is more like it. Yes, the warmth is better now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can have your seats. Thank you very much. Thank you. You can have your seats. When the founder introduced Rabbi Maidonama, I just remembered we've crossed paths. Yes. And there's one thing I'll tell you about Rabbi, which the founder rightly described her as. She is a warrior. in various ways. I anchored her sister's wedding some years ago, and Rabbi was everywhere, making sure that the I's were dotted, the T's were crossed. You know, one would expect, Ada, you know, that's what we call an older sister in Hausa. Please just take some time off, you know, rest and all that. No. Rabbi would call the planner, is this in place, is that in place? On the day of the wedding, ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi was the best dancer throughout the reception. So I thought you'd jam your hands together for Rabbi Meidunama once more. She is the testament that sickle cell is not a death sentence. You can still be a warrior even though you are a carrier. And that is what we are celebrating today amidst many other things. Very quickly, it behoves us now to ask the question, why are we here? Shortly, there will be a video that will be screened via the multimedia screens behind me and beside me. But before then, ladies and gentlemen, also note, immediately after the screening of that video, to explain to us why we are here, all the social media handles of the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation will be displayed. And please, I'd like to request that we all massively follow that page for engagement, you know, for all the questions that would be bothering you during and after this event. You can also channel them there. So immediately after this video, to answer some of the questions bothering our minds today while we're here. But just to summarize, we're here to advocate for improved policy research and care. We're here to raise public awareness on the realities of sickle cell disease. There are a lot of myth. A lot of people will tell you, if you have sickle cell, you can contact sickle cell. If you don't have sickle cell, you can contact it. No. There are a lot of myths that would be demystified here at this event. We're here to also promote early genotype testing and accurate information, because there are a lot of misinformation about this sickle cell. And above all, we're also here to leverage media storytelling to drive sustained national attention. Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of humanity, please fix your eyes on the multimedia screens behind me for why we're here.
In this report examines progress in Nigeria's sickle cell disease management, challenges carriers face, and recommendations for its possible elimination in the country.
They are often referred to as warriors in Nigeria for waging war with this health challenge to survive. Carriers of sickle cell disease, SCD, who have adhered strictly to medical counsel, have proved that the condition isn't a death sentence.
Some people feel that, or they've heard that once you're a sickler, you cannot live up to 18 years, you cannot live up to 20, some people say 25 years. But at our clinic, we have warriors who are above 55. We have some who are close to 60. And this was being possible because they were able to get the health maintenance tips, daily health education on different aspects of how to live a longer and a better life.
There are likely symptoms mothers should look out for, and Iyobosa Juliet Arono, a research nurse, highlights some of them.
While we emphasize coming for routine care, the mothers are taught how to palpate or check for the spleen every time they are bathing the baby, to check if it is hard or if it is swollen. And there's a way we teach them how to measure it. You understand? So when it is enlarged, it is swollen, they can feel it as they are bathing the baby. It is directly below the rib. So we ask them to always watch out for that. You see the child starts crying, the hands are swollen, the legs are swollen. It's called hands and foot syndrome. So we advise mothers, once you see this and the temperature is high, please take the child to a nearby hospital for proper care.
Olariwaju Salau and Blessing Bedium are both 35 years. They share with me some of the challenges.
I have passed through work stigmatization in so many aspects. I don't normally hide that I'm a sickle cell patient, so I always tell them my checkup days. In some schools, the owner of the schools might say, okay, you can go. Some will say, no, now only you nine dey sick, that kind of thing. In this our school, nobody dey sick, or that kind of thing. And when you are sick for some few days, they'll be telling you you're the one bringing down the school.
Well, growing up, we didn't have as much advancement in the health sector just as we have now.
Salau, now a father of two, revealed a sharp contrast between growing up when access to qualified medical personnel was limited and the present when care has improved.
We have people, doctors now, that actually know exactly what they're doing. They can really know how to treat you better. And the advancement in the drug area, we don't just, before it was just folic acid and paludrin, then we have other drugs now that you can use like hydroxyurea, which has been helpful in
Since 2009, June 19 every year is now dedicated as a day to identify with these warriors. Experts now call for more sensitization to tame its spread.
The first thing is, as much as possible, people who are carriers of the traits should not marry carriers too, so that they don't give birth to children with sickle cell disease. Another thing we can do is early detection. Screen these babies as soon as they are born. Find them early, put them into care, and manage them properly.
And for our government, we're actually advocating that they should put sickle cell disease, they should give it a priority to see how those who are already identified can be, the burden of care can be reduced on their part.
Recognized as public health problem, sickle cell anemia in National Institutes of Health (NIH) document affects 20 to 25 million people globally, out of which about 15 million reside in Africa, and Nigeria is believed to be the most sickle cell endemic country, with 2 to 3% of the total population affected. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
It is very important to check your genotype before getting married, and lots more. Sickle cell is not a death sentence, even if you are a carrier. We have most of them. I personally have friends who are carriers and are warriors. I remember one of my friends, she's 42 years old now. She's been a fighter, and for some people that didn't know, the secular musician Adekule Gold is also a carrier, but a strong, solid man. He's everywhere today, a celebrity, pursuing purpose, in spite of the many times he's had to have a lot of crisis. Just like Adekule Gold, a celebrity, a warrior, we have in the house today. A warrior also, a woman who I believe her testament will strengthen other sickle cell carriers out there today, tomorrow, and even for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, to come deliver her power speech, if you ask me, please let us, with a thunderous round of applause, make welcome my sister, Rabi Maidunama. Please make it louder, make it louder, make it louder, make it louder. She is a sickle cell warrior, ladies and gentlemen. I thought you would make some noise for Rabi Maidunama, ladies and gentlemen. The best dancer during her sister's wedding. Yes, there she goes.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Mr. Josh, good to see you all this morning. And I call her Madam Senami. It's an honor to be here with you this morning. I appreciate all the kind words and a beautiful introduction. Thank you. And let me use the opportunity to congratulate you, immortalizing your son's name. He's in a better place, so everybody should be smiling and celebrating today. were not mourning him. Let's talk. How many minutes do I have? Sickle cell is a long talk. Anyways, I'll do what I can in a very short time. Sickle cell disorder, we rather call it a disorder, not a disease, because when you call something a disease, it makes it look like something contagious. So a disorder is more appropriate, which is what we've been using this morning anyways. I was diagnosed when I was 2 years, 6 months. I was diagnosed in England. And at that time, of course, our parents were not enlightened to know anything about genotype before getting married. And so my parents asked, what is that? And of course, they got all the explanation. I mean, by the time my mom got enough training then, she became expert that she was called to actually lecture other parents on how to manage sickle cell. Living with sickle cell is very challenging, extremely challenging, I must say. From the time I remember what pain is, it is excruciating. There is no way, where or part of your body that sickle cell cannot attack. As long as blood flows from your head to your toe, the pain can attack any part of your body, from your head to toe. You have what is known as a crisis, which is a very bad pain, excruciating pain. It can start as mild, but it could be worse. You can have headache, backache, leg pain, everything. And I tell you, when you ask people to describe what kind of pain it is, we all have different description. Some will tell you that it feels like they're hitting you with a hammer continuously. Others tell you that it feels like a truck is running over their body, their bones. Others can't even describe what it is. And so we cannot really, it's like labor pain. When people talk about labor pain, it comes in different stages and different types and whatever. A nurse told me once, why are you crying? I mean, labor pain is the highest form of pain. I said, I'm not going to argue with you because I haven't been through labor and you don't have sickle cell as well. So there's no platform for competition, or there's no comparison. You don't know what I feel, and I don't know what you have felt before. So there's really no way to degrade anybody's pain. But when we say it's painful, just agree. It's painful. Now, growing up with it, aside the pain that it makes you go through, without warning sometimes, you can be fine this minute, and the next minute you are not feeling okay. There are other challenges that can come up. Like you become anemic sometimes and you need blood. There are children that have enlarged spleen. You see them with very big stomach and you think it's kwashiorkor or something. You have jaundice and the eyes are yellow. So many things. It can affect your organs and make you lose some of them. And then, of course, it can affect your bones, which you have to have sometimes. We call it AVN. You can have a replacement for your hip, ball and socket joint. It can happen on the shoulder, and it keeps happening. You know, there's so many things aside the pain. Now, growing up as a child, you are not allowed to do some things with your peer groups. It comes to the emotional part of sickle cell now. This is physical part as I spoke about. I've been through so many surgeries. I don't want to talk about it now. Now, you are not allowed to play with your play group. So when it comes to the emotional part, you can't be with your peer group sometimes. You are not allowed to run. You are not allowed to participate in sports. You are not allowed to do so many things. You cannot swim. You cannot do a lot of things because this can give you crisis. So that's also depressing on its own part. As a warrior, you sit down, you watch other people play, you watch them dance, you watch them do so many things that you are limited to. Now, academics, I've missed so many classes, I've missed so many exams, I've missed so many schoolwork, because at that time, when you are stressed, that's when the crisis attacks you. When you have so much to read or when you have so much to do, the crisis comes because your body is overwhelmed from so many things. You just cannot be too comfortable and too stressed out. Even excitement can bring you down with a crisis. You just have to live a life that you're in between everything. You can't do anything that is too much. I cannot stand too much. I cannot lie down too much. I cannot sit down, too much. I cannot talk too much. I cannot do so many things too much. If I have to drink water, I cannot be too cold. I can drink tea, which is fine. Everything has to be in the middle. We have to meet in the middle. Your life has to be just in the middle. So calculating this kind of balance is very challenging in life. Now you're an adolescent, you're an adult, you meet other things in life. You cannot get a proper job because you have sickle cell. I decided personally that I was not going to work for anybody, because if I do, I'm even going to get sacked. So I don't know how many jobs I'm going to reach. So that's why, as a warrior, I decided to become self-employed to avoid this stigmatization and discrimination of not coming to work or missing work or what. So we have a lot of warriors going through that kind of trauma in their workspace, And then you come to relationships. In relationship, of course, you have to look for who is AA. That is the only perfect person you can settle down or even have a relationship with, for starters, before you get married. So it becomes really, really challenging. As an adult, looking for a partner to settle down is another ball game altogether. And of course, let's not forget the discrimination, the stigmatization that people attach to this problem. As we have been to schools to advocate, and you'll be shocked at how kids or how teenagers describe sickle cell or term sickle cell or talk about their peer groups who have sickle cell. Oh, you are going to die in the next few years. Oh, you are going to do this. Oh, I cannot associate with her. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that. It's depressing for people living with sickle cell. It's really depressing. And to be honest, even the parents, some of the parents are not helping matters. Parents that give birth to these children also contribute to this kind of discrimination. When my parents knew I had sickle cell, they told everybody, because they loved me so much, they told everybody that, look, my daughter has a health issue, and I will not want you in her business or trying to discriminate her or insult her in any way. They went to the school, all the schools I went to, they will go there, my father will go there personally and announce to them that she has a health condition. So in case you see her falling sick, this is what and what you should do. But do you know what parents do now? They hide their kids. They hide them because of fear of discrimination. Now, what my parents did to me made me very bold. I was able to stand up to everybody and said, yes, I have sickle cell. So what? I'm not in your business. You're not in mine. I don't have any business with however you feel about it. First time I was going on media, the man I was dating told me that, so you're actually going to go on media and say you have sickle cell, you're going to tell the whole world. I said, yes. You know, my family know, all my friends know. So what's wrong in telling strangers that I have sickle cell? And that was the end of the relationship. So I said, if I go on that media, I'm going to say my boyfriend said I should not say I have sickle cell on air. And that's exactly what happened. And then we broke up. So you don't have to be around people that cannot accept you. I don't care how people feel that, okay, you have sickle cell. I keep saying, so what? And this came from childhood. This came from my parents, my caregivers. This boldness came from them. If I didn't accept who I was or who the type of person God made me, I don't think I'll have achieved or close to what I've achieved in this lifetime. I don't think I'll be standing here boldly and talking to people as a warrior that, yes, I have sickle cell. It's not a death sentence. It's not a contagious disease. But this hope I give does not mean that parents should go ahead and I keep balancing the talk about sickle cell. It's no walk in the park. Don't think that Mr. A did it right, or Mr. A is bold enough, or Mr. A has so much money to take care of the child, I can also do it. Sickle cell comes with different challenges. As I mentioned earlier, mine has been in the bones. You find some people who are having organ damage. Find some people who always get transfused every month. So it's like a normal body system. Some people have malaria, some people don't have malaria, some people don't have malaria often, some people have headaches, some people have this or that. Even the crisis comes in different stages. Sometimes you can go 2 years without having a crisis. Sometimes you can go only 6 months. So it depends. There has to be a balance. It's not walk in the park. You don't go around giving birth, because we have met people, educated people, people in the health system, talking about how God is going to perform a miracle. They will still go ahead and get married and then blame it on God, that God, look, in my religion, I'm a Muslim. God says, look for knowledge wherever knowledge is. And I believe health or knowing your genotype is part of that knowledge. I don't believe that any knowledge is excluded. Your health or whatever it is excluded as a knowledge. Seek knowledge, and that knowledge will help you. Knowing your genotype is a knowledge. God didn't ask you to jump into fire so that he can save you. You are not Abraham, or you are not any prophet that comes and then you get miracle directly from God. No, it's not possible. So I urge parents to always keep people that are not yet married to make informed decision before bringing in children that have sickle cell. Please make informed decision before bringing in children that have sickle cell. And then for those who are living with it, please know that it's not a death sentence. And to parents and caregivers, you don't know what you have given birth to. The child can become anything. We have seen parents abandoning their children all over the place and not running away. We have seen a father so many fathers leaving their children, their wives and children, and running away because they keep blaming the wife. No parent passes sickle cell to another alone. It is a combined effort. There is no wife that can give birth to all sickle cell patients. So stop blaming only the wife or the fathers, or whatever the case may be. Stop blaming them. I can go on and on about sickle cell, but I believe that I have touched a few challenges that we are facing, and I want all of you to be kind. Be kind to a sickle cell warrior. Will you laugh at somebody with cancer? I believe not. Will you laugh at somebody with other health issues? So why are you tagging sickle cell as different? Why are people pointing fingers at sickle cell? What is different about it? And to be honest, personally, I think sickle cell is the most dramatic, the most chaotic health issue anybody can have. Not to be offensive, but it is very dramatic, I understand. But please, show kindness to those living with sickle cell. That will help them live a better life. That will help them thrive. Lastly, to the health, we have a doctor sitting here. We must urge some of you to also be kind to us. There is no doctor-patient relationship, I'm sorry to say. You read what is in the book. We live the experience. We call ourselves the warriors because we fight an internal battle that nobody sees. So I encourage all the health workers to be kind. Listen to your patient. Communicate with your patient. You can never know my body more than I do. It's not possible. My name is Rabi Meidunama. I'm the founder of Meidunama Sickle Cell Foundation. I'm also the president for the Pan-Africa Sickle Cell Federation. Thank you very much.
Show kindness to a sickle cell warrior. The words of Rabi Meidunama, the executive director and founder of Rabi Meidunama Sickle Cell Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, can we hear it for her with a round of applause? Thank you very much. When I called her a warrior earlier, I meant it in every word, every letter of that word. She started up slowly, and then at some point, that warrior in her came out. You people should stop discriminating sickle cell warriors. She went all out, and that is the fire, that is the spirit inside of every one of any sickle cell carrier. Please, can we celebrate them one more time with a round of applause? Thank you very much, Rabi Meidunama, for sharing you with us today. You know, one of the reasons why we're here, amongst the many other reasons, is to promote early genotype testing and accurate information. Sometimes there is that misinformation about your genotype, so help me ask your neighbor, what is your genotype? Ask your neighbor. Now ask them, when was the last time you rechecked your genotype? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, fix your eyes on the multimedia screens behind and beside me. There's a video that's about the screen now to help you with the misconception and the misinformation about not regularly testing for your genotype. And I'll be right back to recognize a few persons and then get ready for some goodwill messages. Thank you to all our partners. We do not take any one of you for granted. To every one of you present here, the numbers keep swelling on a Monday like this. We deeply, deeply appreciate every one of you. Media, if you're ready, let's have that video. Thank you.
Sickle cell disease in the world, with at least 40 million people as carriers, according to the World Health Organization. Now, Nigeria lawmakers have passed legislation that will help health officials better coordinate and supervise the prevention, control, and management of the sickle cell disease in the country. Sickle cell disease, which is also known as a sickle cell anemia, is an inherited red blood cell disorder which affects millions of people, mostly with origins in sub-Saharan Africa. Philly Haza reports from ABUJA.
Mr. and Mrs. Ohiomokhare lost Jephthah, their firstborn, at the age of 15.
Sickle cell disease in the world, with at least 40 million people as carriers, according to the World Health Organization. Now, Nigeria lawmakers have passed legislation that will help health officials better coordinate and supervise the prevention, control, and management of the sickle cell disease in the country. Sickle cell disease, which is also known as a sickle cell anemia, is an inherited red blood cell disorder which affects millions of people, mostly with origins in sub-Saharan Africa. Philly Haza reports from ABUJA.
Mr. and Mrs. Ohiomokhare lost Jephthah, their firstborn, at the age of 15 to sickle cell in 2017. Due to a faulty medical report, Senami Ohiomokhare says she didn't know she was a carrier of the sickle cell gene until she was already pregnant with Jephthah.
The test was done and the result came out and I was AS. I was shocked. How can I be? It's not possible. I'm AA, and my husband and I did the tests 2 other times and the result came back the same. And where I was AS, he was AS. And at this point, I threw the question back to you. What would you do? I'm married. I'm pregnant with my first son. There was no going back.
About 150,000 people die each year in Nigeria from sickle cell disease, passed on from their parents who also have it in their genes. The disease affects the red blood cells, causing fatigue and anemia, frequent and severe pain, and the breakdown of the immune system. Nigerian legislators have now passed a bill that would ensure people are tested for the disease. The legislation also prevents people who are carriers from getting married to other carriers.
Lawmakers say the bill is crucial if the country is to attain its sustainable development goals of good health, as well as drastically reducing the burden of sickle cell in Nigeria.
Mary Nwagba is a sickle cell survivor, and she runs an NGO that educates about the threats of sickle cell and how best to prevent it. Mary wants the government to share this kind of information more widely with the public.
Aside passing the bill, I believe what government should do is send an SMS, like in a day, 3 to 4 should be okay. By the time it gets to, with the BVN number and everything, by the time it gets to a lot of masses, people who don't even know will be asking questions. Oh, I got this message, I don't understand. Can you please explain? Someone who is knowledgeable will explain it to you. And another way I feel the government can help is through media.
In addition, equipping hospitals to provide better services is what some think the government should focus on.
Our medical facilities, we need to do something about getting the right results if we must nip this thing in the bud.
The government says it is prioritizing medical facilities across the country with a budget of about $250 million for next year. And such efforts could prevent many more families from experiencing the anguish of losing loved ones to sickle cell disease like the Ohiomokhare. Phil Ihaza, CGTN, Abuja.
Help me tell your neighbor, remember to get tested today. Remember to get retested again. It is important so that you don't bring children into the world and then they begin to live with regrets. Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of humanity, on behalf of the entire management of the Jephthah on behalf of the entire management of the foundation, I'd like to sincerely appreciate every one of you, our partners, volunteers, every one of you present here. Thank you for your time. Let me quickly recognize these few persons and then we'll take some goodwill messages. I'm hoping that would use 10 minutes with 2 minutes per person for the goodwill message, and immediately after that would have our very own Dr. Waziri come deliver his keynote address, and then we'll get ready to get into the fire chat side. But before then, if you look to my left, well arranged, these are artworks that should go home with us, every one of us here. And any artwork you purchase there, part of the monies will go into the foundation for other sickle cell warriors. So in the course of the event, you see anyone that, is attractive to you, even if it's 1, 2, 3, you could just get there. The artist will be around also to, get them across to you. And just in case you don't have space in your car to carry about 10 for your friends, this would be a good gift to give out to someone in your office, at your place of worship, or in your family. Get an artwork, purchase them, and part of it will be used, will go back, of course, to the foundation. In no particular order, I'd like to recognize these few persons here, and amongst them, I'll be welcoming them for the goodwill messages. We have just 4 persons for the goodwill messages. However, I'd like to recognize the presence of the head of communications department, NCC, and the I community, Dr. Omoni Ibieton. Please a round of applause for him. Can we celebrate him? The man that looks like Wole Soyinka, but I think he has the wisdom of more than, he has more wisdom than Wole Soyinka, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it's an honor to see you here, and welcome to be part of us. I would also like to recognize the presence of a media consultant and also a member of the I community, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Austin Agabi. Please a round of applause for him. A round of applause. A round of applause. Not also forgetting the head of Reform, Coordination and Service Improvement Department, Dr. Jummai Amadou. Please a round of applause for her as well. Thank you for coming. I want to also recognize the presence of Mrs. Martha Onwuzurumba from the Taiwan Friendship Association. Please a round of applause for her. You're most welcome, ma'am. And this person is not just an ordinary woman. She happens to be Jephthah's godmother. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the regional head of marketing, GT Bank. Please help me jam your hands together for Mrs. Joy Kisi Kadiri. Please a round of applause for her. That is Jephthah's godmother. Thank you for making out time to be here as well. I'd like to also recognize the presence of the coordinator, Mercy Room Prayer Group, Mrs. Adetutu Owoye. Please a round of applause for her as well, ladies and gentlemen. And last but not the least, our mother, a woman who is a lover of humanity as well. Everything about her speaks about motherhood. Ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Director, TAD Foundation, very own mommy, Dr. Tosin Dokpesi. Please a round of applause for her. You're most welcome, mommy. So in this order, I'd like to welcome these persons, and I'd like to respectfully request we all come on stage so that after the person given his or her goodwill message, the next person comes up, because we're one for time, and we don't intend to keep you here beyond the stipulated time. So in this order, I'd like to make welcome first Dr. Moni. Please, can you come up stage? Also, Dr. Jumme, can you come up stage as well? Likewise, Mrs. Adetutu, please, can you come up stage? And last but not the least, our mother, Dr. Tosin Dokpesi. Please, can you come up stage? Please, can we jam our hands together for them as they come up stage? Because I know the Secretary General, African Public Relations Association, Dr. Moni, I know he's a perfect gentleman. He would like to say ladies first. So, Doctor, ladies first, okay? Yeah, fantastic. Okay, please, ma'am.
Thank you very much. But there's this popular saying that I say ladies first after men. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's a huge honor and privilege for me to stand before you this morning at this very, very important event. It is high time occasions like this comes up so that people will know what we are dealing with. We're even fortunate now because back home, then because I grew up in the village, they see children suffering from sickle cell as being possessed by witchcraft. So that also complicates the problem. And it still exists in some villages because the awareness is not there yet, which is why I salute my baby sister, Senami, for setting this out for her dear son, who is now an angel. I told her then that the boy has gone to be with the Lord and is watching over you. And God has been gracious to the family. And I'll just charge everybody here this morning, as we leave here, let's try as much as possible to carry this message beyond this room. Take it back to where you're coming from. Our respective villages, they really, really, really have to get this information. I have a big sister. She personally, when I say they see it as witchcraft, back home then, she told us that she was even abandoned for a long time before somebody came and rescued her. By the time I discovered that it was sickle cell, even people don't understand what sickle cell is in villages. So I enjoy us to go back, pass these messages. Thankfully, we have the social media that is doing so well, even though it has its own negative aspect, but the positive part is what we should go home and use, and should have people get this information. I commit to this project in any way I can because they need to be encouraged, and I'm so happy with my sister. She's my sister, even though she does not know me. I'm happy with the progress you're making, and God will keep giving you the strength to take this message beyond Nigeria like you're already doing, so that you have all the support and you are really, really warriors, and God will keep empowering you and ensure that whatever it is that you put your hand to do will prosper in the name of Jesus. Thank you.
All right, so before I get to my mommy, let me have my big sister. So you're up next.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to stand on the existing protocol. I promise not to take your time, but coincidentally, my husband happened to be my ex happened to be a sickle cell warrior. And just to say a little more about what Miss Sally said, Rabiu said, they go through a lot of pain. They go through a lot of pain. And because of that pain, their reactions at times can be irrational. And because of that pain, you never know how they would react to situations and how they would manage situations. For you to be able to accept them, you must have a lot of love for them. And this love transcends personal love. It goes to the love of Christ. It goes to, for those of us that are Muslim, it has to be a God love, the type of love that is unconditional. Because when they cannot act, when they cannot do anything, they really cannot do anything. And for you to love them, you must be able to support them. If you find anyone with sickle cell anemia around you, please do well to support them. Even when their reaction towards you is not positive, try and still be there for them. I know why I say this. I just want to encourage you all to, please, before you leave here, do the check, blood check. I'll give you a very good reason why you should. From the time of my birth till the time I was going to get married, I've always known myself to be AA, just like what Senama expressed in our video. I've always known myself to be AA. And I believe it was the duty of God for me to marry the man I married. So I was head-bent on I would go ahead to, proceed in the marriage. But it was a week to my wedding that I had to go and check. When you now do this church requirement of checking your blood work. It was a week to my wedding, and I just buried my father as at that time. And I went, and lo and behold, I was AC. So when I was born, there was no enough equipment to diagnose C. C is in between A and S. So a lot of us here today might be with the history of I'm A. It's important that you check to be sure that you've not crossed in any way. Eventually, I was AC. I needed to still take the decision whether to go ahead with the marriage. And by God's grace, I took that decision, and I went ahead with the marriage. And by God's grace, today I have 2 lovely boys that I will not trade for anything in the world. They are doing fantastic well. None of them is SS, but there is one SC. But then he has a divine healing. But not to go through that route is important that you check, know your status, and be good to every SS you meet around you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Be good to every SS warrior you find along the line. And up next, my mommy, Dr. Mrs. Tosin Doc Bessie. Please a round of applause for her, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. Congratulations, Emmanuel and Senami, for doing this. As Sena said, this is the official launch, but you've had other programs even before now. Well done. Well, I'm AS, but I just learned today that it's actually good to check and recheck. So I would definitely go out there to check. I might be AA, who knows. I remember watching television. I used to watch TV a lot. And there was this, I think it was a series or just a movie on NTA then. I was still in secondary school. and it was titled, Love is Not Enough. It talked about sickle cell, of course, a guy and a girl that wanted to get married, and by the time they found out, both of them were AS. And they had to take that tough decision. I think that was my first time of really knowing then that, okay, AS and AS shouldn't marry. And at the end of the movie, they never got married. But what attracted me was that title, that love is not enough. But thank God that today, before the young ones now get into relationships, they're able to check and confirm, should we go ahead or shouldn't we go ahead? And a lot of churches are also insisting that this has to be done. As Madam Rabi said, it is a lot. I had a neighbor his name was Tosin. Tosin died. I was also still in secondary school. He didn't go far. But seeing him then going through all those pains, and then I watched that movie, and I told myself, no, this is not fair, watching young people go through this. But people still go ahead, and yes, I also believe in miracles. But as she said, we need to also understand, why give God that stress when it's something you can avoid and focus on God doing something else for you? But if you're already in it, yes, we can pray for the miracle for God to change the genotype. But if it is what we can avoid, let's avoid it. And let's keep telling others. Some will insist we're going on with this. But I thank you again, Sena and Emmanuel. Let's keep sharing that story of what Jephthah went through. And that alone might actually convince someone that, yeah, I shouldn't go ahead with this. Let me make the right decision. Thank you very much.
Let's make the right decision by testing and retesting today. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, let's hear it for Dr. and Mrs. Tosin Dokbesi. And the last man standing, ladies and gentlemen, the one who has the hair like the famous Wole Soyinka, but he is in his own right a Wole Soyinka and in his department. Please, can we jam our hands together for one and only Dr. Moni Ibietan? Please make it louder.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear brother. I'm so happy to be here. Mommy, it's so good to see you again. And I mean, your hair is coming up so beautifully. Dr. Amadu, Maupe, Dr. Tokpesi, all of you, dear friends, brothers and sisters, it's such a privilege to be here. I am Ibietan, Dr. Moni Ibietan. I no longer work in the capacity in which I was introduced. At NCC, I am the Secretary General of African Public Relations Association. Now I also teach at Rome Business School. I teach advertising and PR. I teach communication management, and I teach communication strategy. It's so good to be here. I'm here in two capacities, basically, as I've introduced myself. Here with my brother, Austin. We're here in solidarity with our brother, Dr. Emmanuel Ohiomokhare, who is a member of the I community. It's a community of men who do not see any difference between themselves and the rest of the men, and who commit themselves to doing what? To making the world better, to adding value, which is the reason why we're here. The other point I need to make is that I'm a member of Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, first and foremost, which is the reason why I am in APRA, representing Nigeria. So as a fellow of NIPR, we have always insisted that people share meaning. People should share meaning. Through what? Through safe, ethical, and responsible communication. It is not sufficient for people to be discriminated against on the basis of, health conditions. It is inhuman, it is un-African to do so. We have listened to our sister, Rabi, and it's just such a fantastic advocacy. I don't know who can do that better other than the person who is directly encountering that circumstance. It is our duty to be in solidarity, to empathize. But the point I need us to emphasize, I know I have just a few seconds to go, is for us not just to be involved in transmitting information. It is for us to share meaning. When you say, oh, this person has a sickle cell, there's something you have already told the person who you are passing the information to. You haven't fundamentally shared meaning. When you share meaning, you describe what has happened, connect with the person, inform of this kind of support that that person requires and which must be given, because that person is first and foremost a member of our community, and we need to make sure that the person live, in strong bond with us. There is absolutely no reason where we can demonstrate that we have shared meaning, that we are empathetic and responsible, if we characterize people who are suffering from a particular medical condition, and on that basis, we are ostracizing them rather than do the opposite, rather than be empathetic, rather than offer the support that we require. So this precisely is the reason why I want to thank each and every one of us gathered here, the youngest to the oldest, on a Monday morning, for you to take the time to be here. It shows that you have demonstrated commitment. And I want to say that we will be with you, shoulder to shoulder. We'll run with you on this race, both in my capacity as Secretary General of African PR Association, as a fellow of NIPR, importantly also as a member of the I community, where my brother, Dr. Ohiomokhare, belongs. We are together with you and we will work together. Please keep giving the support that is required. You can never do too much in getting this to work for all of us. I appreciate you, and I want to thank you very sincerely once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Dr. Moni Ibieton, and to everyone who came up here to give their goodwill messages. On behalf of the founder of the foundation, we deeply appreciate every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of humanity, remember, today is not just an ordinary day, it is a totally different day. Shortly, we'll be having the keynote address from a seasoned doctor who has been with us here since the commencement of this event, and happily partnering with the foundation to ensure that lives are impacted positively. But before then, please fix your eyes on the multimedia screens beside and behind me for a 1 minute video. And after that, I'll be back to introduce our keynote speaker for his session. Thank you very much.
I know you've probably heard it all your life, that there is no cure for sickle cell disorder. But what if I told you that that's actually a lie?
Yes, there is a cure for sickle cell disorder. It's called stem cell transplantation or bone marrow transplantation.
And before you begin to wonder whether this is some foreign miracle that is only available abroad, let me surprise you. The cure is available right here in Lagos, Nigeria, and the Sickle Cell Foundation Nigeria Luth Bone Marrow Transplant Center, a center that is staffed by some of the finest medical professionals and experts in the world.
We've successfully carried out transplants and lives have already been transformed. Hope has finally come right here in the sickle cell capital of the world.
So if you live with sickle cell disorder, or someone you love lives with sickle cell disorder, you don't have to live in fear anymore. You can take that next winning step. For more information on how to enroll into our bone marrow transplant program, simply send us a WhatsApp message or an email or call the numbers on your screen.
Just in case you weren't able to capture all the information, maybe there's someone you need to help, before the end of the event, we'll try to display those information as well. And also, you might be led or motivated to donate to the foundation. You're here and then you are thinking, how can I be part of ensuring that these warriors don't get to hurt so much more anymore. We will be displaying the account details of the foundation so that in your own way, you can make your donation and be rest assured that the monies will be utilized for the sole purpose for which the foundation was founded. Once again, I'd like to thank tremendously our partners, our volunteers, and every one of you still here being part of this journey. The next person I'll be inviting to the microphone for his keynote address is a consultant, a seasoned consultant, a hematologist, and associate professor of hematology and blood transfusion. Likewise, the head of operations center at the National Blood Service Agency, NBSA. He will be speaking to gene therapy, early detection, and the future of sickle cell care, science, policy, and the GOBS. Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of humanity, please help me jam your hands together for my friend, my doctor, and indeed a perfect gentleman. Please help me hear it for Dr. Aliyu Dahiru Waziri. I thought you would make it louder for Dr. Aliyu Waziri. Nice to have you, Doctor. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. May I still say, let me stand on the existing protocol, the Nigerian way. So thank you so much, Mrs. Sanami, for inviting me to give this brief talk on gene mapping, early detection, and the future of sickle cell care. It's actually a pleasure to be here, and it's also a pleasure again to see some people I have not seen in so many years, and also to see some people I'm seeing for the first time in person, not on television, like Mrs. Dokpesi. Good morning, Ma. And my very good friend, I think the last time we met was in Sokoto. I know you can't remember, when we went for a program by Zayan. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And my sister, Haji Arabi. We've been together with her. I think the first time we met was during African Sickle Cell Congress in Lagos. That should be in 2018 or 2019 or so. So thank you so much. Haji Arabi, you made mention of something and it actually touched me, yes. Let me be very, I know possibly you've had the opportunity of meeting doctors or healthcare workers that you were at some particular instances not too comfortable with their actions. But I will assure you that those people are just a very, very small percentage. So many of us have been in this battle of sickle cell awareness talk for a very long time. I have served as a medical advisor for Sophia Sickle Cell Foundation for the past 15 years. We also have the Sickle Cell Warriors Support Group, which is a group formed by sickle cell patients themselves. They are the presidents, ESCOs, the entire ESCOs of the association, and they actually come up to help themselves whenever there are challenges. So, what are we doing as a group to really make things better for you? We try as much as possible to put ourselves in your shoes. Say, for example, looking at personalized care, for example, in which what we are advocating is for every sickle cell warrior that comes to the hospital, we should have what we call a pain care plan. We know they have pains, but the degree and the response to pain and also to response to analgesics differ from person to person. So what we try to do is to now look, okay, how best, or for Mrs. A or Mr. A that comes in, what are those analgesics that person took, and how did the person respond to it? And we'll make sure we document it so that when next that person comes in, we know, okay, these are the specific drugs that that person responds to, instead of doing all the trial and error, starting from the beginning and every other thing like that. So we're actually trying to improve on the practice. Additionally, again, there are a lot of researches that we're trying to look at, okay, how best, what is the rapidity in which the healthcare workers were able to give care to sickle cell patients. And a lot of studies are ongoing. You know that there are standards for it internationally too, which we're trying to abide, of which in the first 30 minutes that the person comes in, at most 1 hour, that person should have a pain medication. Thank you so much. Let me just quickly go into that. So sickle cell disease is regarded as a public health challenge because it exerts a sort of psychosocial problem on the people that have this disease. My sister said I shouldn't say disease, we should say disorder. In medical terms, if we say sickle cell disease, it actually refers to all the various forms of sickle cell disease. We can have sickle cell anemia, you can have sickle cell trait, etc. So it's an umbrella term for all those other components. But if we now say sickle cell anemia, we are now referring to that person that has SS. When we say sickle cell disorder, is when that person either has sickle cell SS or any of those combinations, but at the same time is also having bone pains. That's when we call it sickling disorder. So apologies for that. We'll try to correct it. Yes. So the need for screening and knowing our genotype is actually very, very important. Yes. Like I usually tell my friends or the younger ones, the moment you meet someone you're thinking of marrying, I think the first thing you should tell the person before any other thing is, after hello, hi, you say, what is your genotype? Yes, that should be the next thing. Before you start saying, I love you, I love you. So please, what is your genotype? That should be the next talk. Like I said, sickle cell disease is a condition that affects so many aspects of the human life. It is a lifelong condition, and it comes with a lot of medical attention, like she rightly said. And most of the time, you realize the person needs some form of specialized care. We've gone beyond the level of saying there are few or there are no specialists in sickle cell to say to some extent that, okay, we now have people who can take care of the people who are sickle. We also know that it's a cause of poor school attendance amongst our people. It's also a very good risk for potential drug addiction, which is a common problem. Most of the time, either by omission or any other thing, either the healthcare workers or the sickle patient themselves can become addicted to some of these drugs. So the burden, like I said, affects everybody in terms of the man hour and so many other things. You realize you're supposed to be at work, but in the morning you wake up, the child is smiling, and the next thing, he starts crying. Like she said, it's so dramatic. The person will be smiling at you, but the next minute he starts screaming and shouting. And you just have to abandon everything, and you find yourself in the hospital. You don't just spend a single day. Sometimes you spend weeks or even months, depending on the complication that sets in. So, Nigeria is a hub for sickle cell disease. About 150,000 people are actually born in Nigeria with sickle cell disease annually. And over 300,000 is found generally in the world. So you can see we have 50% of the world population of sickle cell. In fact, when we look at the carrier state, about 24% of our population have the S gene. either as AS, that's their carriers. And in some studies, for example, it's even as high as about 40%. There are studies that have shown that, like in Kano, for example, you realize there are a lot of people that have sickle cell trait. So which means if you don't screen, you don't test, the possibility of an individual getting married to another person that has the trait is actually very, very high. So the prevalence of sickle cell here is about 2 to 3%. You can't imagine our population of more than 200 million, and we're talking about 2 to 3% of that population having sickle cell disease. So it's a huge, huge number for us. When we talk about gene mapping now, because that's the topic, well, what we try to look at is you realize that there are two people from the same parent, but the two of them have different ways in which their disease presents, or of which their condition presents. One will have more pain than the other. Same parent, nothing different. But if we decide to look at it at the genetic level, going to the gene now, I don't want to go into that, but let's say the gene, the DNA, inside the DNA, and we decide to look at it, we might be able to see some specific things that can or is modifying the disease in this group of people. Take, for example, we are aware that if you do a test of sickle cell, maybe using some of the better testing methods now, we have the HPLC. When you test using that, you realize some of them have F level. It's been found that those with that very high F level do better. They do very well. They have less incidence of having crisis and every other thing like that. So they tend to modify the disease or the condition of which the person is having. Some can have thalassemia trait. For those that have thalassemia, this is a discussion for another day, not for today. So for those that have thalassemia, it also modifies the way sickle cell anemia actually behaves. For us in Nigeria generally, we have a very large population. We have diverse genomic combinations of which we've not really explored very well. There are a lot of studies which most of the time are actually done in institutions. I know there is the one that we did with some partners in Cyprus, looking at over 30,000 sickle cell individuals, so that we'll be able to map the whole genome in them, and we'll be able to compare and see, okay, is there a specific gene? If it is there, what is the relationship in terms of severity of the condition in specific people? So we've actually been able to do that. But as we're talking now, like I said, it's mostly in institution. Is there a national program for that? No. Are we there yet? Yes, no. Yes, because we're supposed to move with the tide. No, because we have not done even the basic things we're supposed to do. Newborn screening is there. We are not looking at newborn screening yet. So, early detection, most mortality peaks at the age of 5. And when we decide to implement early diagnosis, it will help in reducing some of these complications. Because the moment an individual is identified as having sickle cell anemia, then that person should be properly managed as that, either by appropriate referral to the healthcare workers that are supposed to do that, are supposed to look after the patient, or the other thing is also giving information to parents so that they'll be able to know when there are problems, just like one of the videos showed increasing size around the left side of the chest, which is the spleen, checking for it, and so many other things. So when all these things are instituted early, they've been found to reduce mortality in more than 70% of cases. For us in Nigeria, as we speak, there is no national program for newborn screening. And I feel, or we all feel, that there should be a national program. What we've been having are more of pockets of programs like the one by the Arise program, the one in Katsina, for example, during the time of Governor Shema, which his wife was able to come up with a program, and they were able to take more than 20,000 children into the program. And in that program, I think they were able to give free medications and so many other things like that. But the program died a natural death after the government. So we need to institutionalize this practice so that it's supposed to be part of us. Yes, we are aware there is geographic inequity in terms of sickle cell care. Most of the specialists in the country are mostly in the urban region. Few are in the rural region. And when we look at the insecurity and so many things, nobody will want to even go to the rural areas now to actually give some of this care. So the gap increases. And the number of specialists in the country, they are very few. Because I think hematologists now were not more than 300 in the country. So imagine a country with 2 to 3% prevalence of sickle cell having only 300 specialists to take care of them. So which means we need to do more. So also, when we look at how some of the states again have more prevalence of the sickle cell, you see more patients in those places compared to any other place or any other places. So what is the current policy that we have in the country? Yes, there is the National Sickle Cell Control Program, but is it effective? I would say no. A majority of the states, they have a department for sickle cell, but all these departments are actually more of offices with well-documented policies and everything, but just kept in the cooler, and nothing is done about it. So I think we need to move from documentation to actual practice to see that, we've actually brought down this condition. Hydroxyurea is an essential drug. I know so many people have questions about hydroxyurea. It's an essential drug, and it is very, very expensive. Very few individuals are able to afford it. Very few. And this has been found to be very, very effective. In fact, we have done a lot of other studies that at some point those other drugs had to be pulled out of the market because hydroxyurea appears to be superior to them. So what is our government doing in terms of accessibility and affordability of this very, very important or wonderful drug? So inconsistency to access and affordability is the key challenge. So what do we need to do? We have to optimize hydroxyurea use. It's usually a challenge because we find ourselves even defending hydroxyurea, we the medical doctors, because some people will tell you hydroxyurea is a cancer drug. But there are so many other drugs that have been maybe made for something, but at the same time were found to be very, very effective in another situation. Hydroxyurea is one of those things. It's been found to reduce the rate of hospitalization, the rate of having what the complication we call the acute chest syndrome, and so many other things like that. Even transfusion demands have been found to reduce. There's this patient that I had, she's late now, just a year. Then she was coming down with a PCV of 11%. Ideally, for those who have sickle cell, most of the time, you will say from 22, 23 upwards like that. But hers has consistently remained at 11%. Like I said, affordability is a challenge. And for her, affordability was there. She could not afford it. And we as the doctors had to gather or put our funds together to get that medication for her. When we did, just in the span of few weeks, her hemoglobin or PCV jumped from that 11% to 19%. She became free of transfusion. This is, you can say this is just a case, but there are lots of other documented evidence everywhere showing the efficacy of hydroxyurea. Bone marrow transplantation, excellent. There are centers doing bone marrow transplantation. Lagos is one of them. And there's another center here, which we call the African Medical Center of Excellence in ABUJA here, which is going to start stem cell transplant too from next year. Yes. The other question comes again. Affordability. Can we afford it? So that's why some of the time, yes, I've seen advances. We'll talk about advances and everything. But when affordability comes now, looking at the cost, you will now want to bring yourself backwards again, talking about prevention. So I would prefer we go to prevention. Yes. I try to limit myself on what I say to the public. Yes, there are lots of innovations. Say, for example, I've been in a center in Cyprus where they do what we call PGT, which is pre-implantation testing. What they do in Cyprus, for example, they don't tell you not to marry. You can go ahead, you get married, but at the same time again, when you're going to conceive, it's going to be through IVF. When it is through IVF, they now take the fertilized egg and now check and see if that egg is carrying that specific genetic abnormality. So if it is not carrying that abnormality, then they take it and implant into the woman. And she continues with it as per normal pregnancy. I don't like talking about it because the moment you speak about, people will say, oh, okay, how do we go about it? And you tell them the cause, they run away. By then, they've already gotten married and so many kids are there. So I try as much as possible to avoid that discussion. Gene therapy and CRISPR-based approaches. So bone marrow transplantation is one. Gene therapy is another thing in which they take the blood of the affected individual. They look at that genetic abnormality because in sickle cell it is a genetic problem. It is a genetic problem in which a specific thing is swapped for another thing and it starts producing another type of protein. So what they do is they can swap that place and bring in the normal one. So the blood or that cell becomes a normal cell. But it is still that same cell that has been taken from you. Then subsequently, they will now, after engineering it outside the body, now pick it and re-infuse back into you. And the body starts producing normal cells. Or the approach can be, remember I spoke about something that I said it produces high fetal hemoglobin. So they can just go there too and touch on that and put on the switch. So that switch now will start producing plenty or many of that F. And as it does that, it also ameliorates some of the complications. What is the cost for gene therapy? $1 to $2 million. Not naira. Yes. But how can we make this thing affordable and accessible in the country? Is when we start doing the technology within this country. We engineer the cells and we do everything within the country and infuse to those patients. So basically what is obtainable now is, well, gene therapy is not in the country. So, but there are those that have the patency of producing some of these things. When they take the cells, they fly them to the company, they do the whole engineering, and they fly them back. And then they re-infuse. So if we have a company that can't do that in-house, then we don't have a problem. It's going to be very cheap. So we have to start thinking ahead. So some centers, again, are going to start gene therapy in Nigeria next year. So what are our immediate priorities? We have to start universal newborn screening. Whether we like it or not, we have to do that. We are supposed to have a database. At least with that data, we'll be able to speak. We'll be able to get grants. We'll be able to do a whole lot of things. And we'll be able to know if our preventive measures are actually working. Hydroxyurea must be affordable. Then there should be a comprehensive sickle cell care. As we speak now, there's really no comprehensive sickle cell care. You realize we have a lot of sickle cell patients that cannot even afford transport fee to the hospital. Yes. We are in ABUJA, we might not see some of these things, but for some of us that have practiced in rural areas or semi-urban areas, like Zaria, for example, we've had instances where we had to even give transport to the patient. They come in very bad, and sometimes we sit down, we give our own blood. Yes, we donate blood. You see, you donate blood, you give transport money. Yes, it sounds like a nightmare or like a dream, something that is not real. But this is the practical reality on ground. We need to expand genomic diagnostics and biobanking. The National Blood Service Agency will soon roll out stem cell banking and cord blood banking. So whoever is interested can actually store their stem cells, and even in hospitals, we can get umbilical cord stem cells so that we'll freeze and keep. So we'll like have a bank where at the end of the day, if there's an individual that needs transplant, he just contacts the agency, then we go to our database and see which one is compatible. So if we're able to do that, at least to some extent, we should be able to reduce, improve on that aspect. The National Sickle Cell Registry and Data System. Yes, we have some registries, but there are more of pockets in different places. So we need to have a national document for all these things. I've made mention of this, and I will just skip. So, the policy generally for the ministry is to mandate and fund phased national newborn screening. No center will be able to do it alone. It has to be a national program. Then secondly, again, the NHIA, which is the National Health Insurance Agency, at least should be able to add hydroxyurea as an essential part of sickle cell care. In fact, they should even make blood transfusion part of its component. As we speak now, the NHIA or the insurance scheme does not cover transfusion. And we know that transfusion forms the bedrock in management of individuals who are sickle. Legislations, very important. We've done that in so many aspects. We have so many things written. In fact, we made mention of something in one of the documentation or a documentary where they said something about mandatory screening before marriage. But let me just throw a little bit controversy now. You want to make it mandatory that I should screen. Okay, I have screened. And you are telling me I cannot marry. Are you not infringing on my right as a person? These are very fundamental questions people are asking. Is it just enough to give a blanket statement and say, don't marry? This is food for thought. So, I think I will stop here. I hope I've been able to talk about or discuss the topic very well. Maybe during the panel session, if you have any question, you can ask. The topic was actually given to me yesterday in the night. So, thank you so much.
Please, can we jam our hands together some more for Dr. Waziri? Make it louder, please, if you can. Wonderful. A lot of technical terminology is used, but at the end of the day, it is important that you get tested. There is hope. Even if you are a carrier, there is still hope for you. It's not a death sentence. And above it all, you can be anything you want to be, even if you are a carrier. But then, again, it is important you get tested and retested to be certain. Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of humanity, one more time, can we celebrate our doctor, Dr. Waziri? It will take an intelligent doctor to deliver such wholesome keynote address. Masterclass, actually, it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. He was informed just last night, and then today by 12 noon, he's giving us all the medical terms, research well done. You know, I mean, doctor, I don't know how you do it, but thank you so very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the founder and the entire management of the foundation, I'd like to sincerely thank our partners, our donors, who will be donating not just blood, but also donating finances towards the foundation. We'd like to thank every one of you, our volunteers, and of course, every one of you still here. We appreciate you. Let me just remind you all, much later in the course, intermittently, the account details of the foundation will be screened. Just in case you have a donation you led, you just want to be part of this, this movement, you can make your donations to the account details. And also, to my left, we'll be having the exhibition, the art exhibition, very soon after the next item, which will be the panel discussion, the fireside panel discussion. All you have to do is go up there, knowing fully well that any piece you acquire there, part of the monies will be going to the foundation and towards helping our sickle cell warriors in the activities. So please do not be shy to get 1 or 2 or 3 of those artworks. They are very, very beautiful, if you ask me. The closer you get to them, the more beautiful they are. So much later, when it is time for the exhibition, you should pick one for yourself, for a friend, for a colleague, for anybody. But in the meantime, we appreciate every one of you. Before we go into the session, the panel session on fireside chat that will be commandeered by a seasoned broadcast journalist as well, one who I used to love watching on TV, and today she is here to commandeer that session. Ladies and gentlemen, please fix your eyes on the multimedia screen. We have a short video for you very quickly, and I'll be back to properly introduce the moderator of the panel session and fireside chat. Thank you very much. Media, if you're ready, let's have the video.
Nigeria has been declared the country with the highest number of newborns affected by sickle cell disease worldwide, with around 150,000 cases annually. Dr. Maureen Achebe, Associate Professor of Nigeria has been declared the country with the highest number of newborns affected by sickle cell disease worldwide, with around 150,000 cases annually. Dr. Maureen Achebe, Associate Professor of Medicine at Harvard Medical School, made this claim at a public lecture by the Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training. Arise News correspondent Anthony Momodu has the report.
The total cost of sickle cell disease across sub-Saharan Africa is expected to rise from $9.1 billion per annum to $10.2 billion by 2030. And to reduce this burden on vulnerable Nigerians, Dr. Achebe tasked the Nigerian government to put first newborn screening to ensure early detection and intervention for sickle cell disease.
The primary thing is to detect a baby who has sickle cell disease. Babies are born
with sickle cell disease and they look completely normal. We need to find those babies before they get sick.
Dr. Achebe and other medical professionals decry reports that prove that sickle cell disease burden in the country puts children under 5 mortality ratio from 50% to 80%, meaning babies that are born in Nigeria with sickle cell disease will die before their 5th birthday.
There have been many studies that have shown that hydroxyurea also given daily improves the longevity of patients with sickle cell disease. We want to move this disease from being a significant cause of death to babies less than 5 years old to 95% or more living to adulthood, living to their 50s, living to their 60s. And this is something that we can do.
Prevention is very, very key, which costs nothing but paying close attention. So in people selecting life partners, to ensure that an AS should not get married to an AS, or an AS getting married to an SS, or an SS getting married to an SS. When you do this, that means that you are increasing the chances.
Speaking on the topic, the evolving therapeutic landscape in sickle cell disease, the guest lecturer highlighted the latest advancement in treatment options and research for sickle cell disease, emphasizing the potential for improved patient outcomes and quality of life. On her path, the director of the center, Professor Obiageli Nodu, emphasized the importance of multifaceted approach to addressing sickle cell disease, highlighting the need for increased awareness, research, and access to quality healthcare for those affected.
The Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training at the University of ABUJA scaled up to the National Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training to coordinate research in sickle cell disease in the country. So this is today's public lecture is
Medical experts have emphasized the importance of understanding the scientific basis of the disease to promote awareness, acceptance, and proper management. Anthony Momodu, Arise News.
She is a seasoned broadcast journalist with over 13 years of working experience. An associate member of the Nigerian Union of Journalists and as well the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Consulators. This brilliant journalist has traveled across continents to deliver on her news, sourcing, gathering, and reporting skills. Although now she is the media executive and team lead, Open Media. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have her as a moderator of the panel session and fire chat side. Please, with a thunderous round of applause, one many media broadcast journalists look up to, help me celebrate with a warm welcome, none other than Salmatu Ibrahim as she takes a seat as a moderator. Please make it louder as she elegantly walks to her seat. Make it louder, make it louder, make it louder.
Thank you so much for that warm, very warm introduction. I'm so happy to be here today. This is really personal to me. I would like to thank Senami and Mr. Emmanuel Ohiomokhare for putting together this event because it's a platform of expression for so many families out there, and even in this room, including myself. I lost a niece, she was SC, and another niece, SS, 2 years ago. And I have a nephew. Thankfully, he's still here with us. He's working with the Nigerian government right now. He has a community of artists who are into creative cartoons. He manages that community, and he's happily married. So this event is really, really personal to me. I listened to Dr. Waziri, and he mentioned that there's 150,000 birth rates every year, and that's just in sub-Saharan Africa. And sadly, Nigeria has the highest number of birth rates, annual birth rates of sickle cell births annually. So this is something that is very, very, very important that we have this discussion. And so today we'll be looking at the understanding sickle cell beyond the myths, the science, policy, and the gaps. And to do justice to this discussion, I'd like to invite Rabbi Meidunama. I hope she's still with us. Rabbi Meidunama. She's coming. Okay, so she will join us shortly. She is the founder, Meidunama Sickle Cell Foundation, and president, Pan-African Sickle Cell Foundation. I also have Matron Juliet Iyobosa. Matron Juliet Iyobosa, Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training, University of Abuja, in charge of our newborn screening program and research nurse for clinical trials at CERTA. You're welcome. Also joining us on the panel is no other than Dr. Aliyu Dahiru Waziri. He is the consultant hematologist and associate professor of hematology and blood transfusion. He is also the head of operations center at the National Blood Service Agency. Thank you. All right. Please sit, Rabbi. This is not so long. All right. Dr. Patrick Money, the research fellow at Castor, is here with us too. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this very important discussion. Understanding sickle cell beyond the myths, the science, policy, and the gaps. It's important for us to know that since Nigeria has the highest birth rates in this country, we would like to know what the Nigerian government is doing to cater for the warriors in the country. So I'll start by asking Haji Rabi. Of course, she had given us a rundown of how the sickle cell disease affects the body, and of course, what causes sickle cell. But we'd like to hear from you, Dr. Rabi. You gave a very touchy and emotional rundown of what sickle cell warriors actually go through. And I can say it's quite emotional to know that warriors would have to go through that for a long time. Tell us, what is the psychological, financial burden on families and even the warriors?
This condition starts from birth. Is diagnosed from like 6 months to between 6 to 2 years or whatever time it's been diagnosed, but it manifests from around 6 months. So the financial burden starts immediately, of course, immediately, because the child starts running fever, starts running, crying uncontrollably and all that. So of course, you start running to hospital. Sometimes you think it's just ordinary fever or ordinary, a baby being cranky and all that. But you have to go to when you go to the hospital and you get this diagnosis, then it becomes a problem. You start treatment immediately. Of course, with the pain medications and whatever it is, preventive drugs like to prevent malaria, prophylaxis for malaria, antibiotics can follow, and a lot of other things. Now, growing up, this is a lifelong illness, and you have to take routine drugs as you grow up. It's not something that you can just, ignore until you have a crisis or something. No, and you find out that average Nigerians, about 60% of those with sickle cell cannot even access basic routine drugs, which include malaria preventive drugs, folic acid, multivitamins, and a lot of other drugs like antibiotics are very expensive, especially when you need to treat an infection. And then, of course, the dieting, of course. If you see lots of children that don't get good diet and good food, there's a clear difference you see with those that have access to, good food, good nutrition and all that. You see, even if you look at the children, you see there's a difference, And then, of course, hydration, you have to be very hydrated. So access to clean water also plays a role in that kind of situation. And then, of course, staying in the hospital is not child's play. You pay everything. Nigerian hospitals, unless you have charity, paying for you, whatever the case may be, as small as syringe, you have to pay for it in the hospital. So by the time you stay in a hospital for having a crisis that will last for, as doctor mentioned, between 1 day and God knows how long, you'll be paying for the hospital space, pay for everything, pay for your syringe, pay for your medication, and then when you have to have a blood transfusion, it becomes a problem. So you have to pay for the blood. But as it is now, since we have partners as the blood donor agencies and all that, hopefully with this kind of partnership, some of these expenses can actually reduce. So we hope that the government can do something in terms of the financial body. When it hits the parents, that love that they got married to initially will disappear. The love they claim that, okay, this is because of love, we have to get married, we pray over it. That love will eventually disappear. By the time the financial burden hits you and the psychological trauma, watching your child suffering, crying from morning to night, that love will begin to diminish, and that's when you start to have problems, and psychology comes in and all that. So everybody will now become cranky and everything around. Fight starts between husband and wife. It's your fault, it's that one's fault. I tell you, there's no family that has not passed through that. So those are the challenges.
Thank you, Hajarabi. Now, going back to, I would be asking Juliet Iobosa. You are from the Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training, University of Abuja. Can you kindly share with us some of the research protocols, research concerning treatment protocols for sickle cell, and what areas is being considered for research?
We have so many areas. The first is the newborn screening that we are currently doing. We started in 2021, and we screened over 30,000 babies in FCT using the various area councils, and we've been able to identify over 300 babies, and we are currently in care. About 270 is in care. What the protocol said was, once the baby is identified, because studies showed that the countries who have national newborn screening programs, that the rates of under 5 mortality drastically reduced. So the protocol was for the babies who are coming into care to have access to folic acid and penicillin V. Penicillin V is to reduce infection, because that's what they come down for the first 5 years. And that's what we are currently doing. It's free for the first 5 years. Yes, for those who agree to come to care, because we still have so many challenges of denial. We have challenges of lab errors. We have parents who are enlightened, who will tell you you need their genotype before marriage. And only for you to identify a baby, you call them to come back for confirmatory testing, and they will tell you, no, how can AA marrying AS have a child with sickle cell disease? Actually, it actually takes a lot for us to convince them to come back And eventually we encouraged them to go back for testing, and then the party who said he or she was AA is eventually divorced. And it's been great challenge. So what we advise are warriors in the clinic, or we also have counseling services at our center. People who come for counseling, prevention, they want to get married. We encourage them to go to multiple good laboratories to do their genital testing. And to be 100% sure of the genotype of their partner, especially for those who have sickle cell disease, because also at our center we've seen a warrior who got married to her partner who had results of AA, only for the first twin girls to turn out to be SS. They are currently 13 years old. Thank God she took it in good faith, and she's managing herself and also caring for those girls. So the protocol states once they are identified, they are put into care, and then they are followed up. Free medication for the first 5 years of life. Then you are teaching them and making them understand this is what they are supposed to do. Not just the medication. We have a comprehensive pediatric sickle cell clinic where there's compulsory health education session before the parents see the doctors. They are taught things to do to make their baby stay healthy: hydration, aeration, them staying in good aerated areas. They also taught signs of danger signs, things to watch out for that we make them prompt to come to the hospital. And we make them understand that going to, we have a habit of going to the chemist when we have any problem. We tell ourselves to say, to go to the hospital, the protocol, let's just go to meet the chemist man who is close by. Meanwhile, you've forgotten that it is the thing you tell the chemist man that he used to mix medications and then give it. The money you say you don't have, you'll be spending there. When it's not getting resolved, you still go back to the same hospital that you have refused to go back to. And we emphasize coming for routine clinic visits. For the pediatrics, it's a monthly visit. Then for the adults, it's 3 months or every 4 months. And we have some services to help ease the burden of care for our patients. We found out that they come, the parents sometimes come and they will tell you, I'm sorry, I don't even have transport to go back home. I'm sorry, I don't have medication money. Initially, within ourselves, we donate some money and then we help. Then our director saw it and said, this is not going to be enough. So she met with the FCT health insurance people who now said they were going to, they gave us 2,000 slots to enroll all our patients into the basic healthcare fund, which was done a few months ago. Now they are trying to incorporate the basic healthcare fund into the FCT health insurance to see how they can scale the coverage. So we asked them to re-enroll so that they can have a card. It's no longer them calling back and forth. The card will serve as an identification for them once they go to the PHC, because also they're trying to strengthen primary healthcare centers to see how they can have good knowledge of managing these patients first before they refer, and also teaching them the channel of referral, because we found out that sometimes those in the rural area, depends on the particular crisis they're having. Sometimes before they get to a teaching hospital or a general hospital, from their place of residence, life might be lost. So we are also trying to see how we can train the primary health care workers on the basic management of sickle cell disease, which was done a few months ago, and we are doing follow-up. I'm in charge of the newborn screening. We screen in rural areas. So we also go there, and we found out that sometimes they believe the local people around them more than you who is an outsider coming. So with them, we have been able to track our babies who are lost to follow. So these are some of the things that we also doing. And also, we did a research on the usage of hydroxy, acceptability, affordability, and the usage of hydroxyurea at our center. We found out that most people are not assessing it. Okay. They don't even want to, because some of the healthcare professionals are also telling them this drug is cancerous, please don't take it. So one key thing we did was, within our locality there at the teaching hospital, we had to educate the health professionals to also say this particular medication is good and is now part of the national guideline for the management of sickle cell disease. So please stop discouraging our patients. We give them pamphlets and encourage them to go back and if they have any question, you can come back to us. Yes. Okay. And for the affordability, it's actually expensive, but Bond's Chemical, they now produce the one that is a little bit affordable. And even this affordability, it still boils down to some people cannot afford as low as 1,000 naira. So we still went back to plead with the health insurance people who have said they will include the hydroxyurea to be part of the medications covered under health insurance. Then they'll just pay 10% of the medications.
All right, thank you. Before I come to you, Dr. Waziri, let me quickly go to Dr. Mani. Looking at the 2012 guidelines that was released by the Federal Ministry of Health, that looked at institutionalizing sickle cell cure, sickle cell treatment. It included the integration of care into the primary care system. That's one. Now we're looking at the cost of treatment. How do you think, the government or even donor agencies or partners can collaborate to ensure that affordability, is entrenched and access is also provided across the country?
Thank you for that question. In terms of affordability of care, I'm looking at donor agencies. I have my own bias because in the long term, it's not sustainable. Those funds will dry up, okay, and they will go. But on the part of government, what I think can be done is on this issue of health insurance, where the coverage for care of sickle cell disease is expanded in such a way that it covers some basic services like hydroxyurea, blood transfusion, and routine medication. I think with the health insurance expanded, it can take a lot of burden away from the patients because averagely in a month, looking at hydroxyurea for instance now, a patient will have to pay out of pocket minimum of 7,000 naira to get medication, for a month. And looking at the country, the socioeconomic status of most people within Nigeria, only a few persons can afford this. So if the insurance can be expanded in such a way that it takes up this, okay, I think that's a way to relieve the patient also. And in addition to that, there are certain investigations that we routinely do for these patients, which depending on where you are, Gwagwalada or inside ABUJA town, the prices can vary significantly. We have things like the liver function test, the kidney function test. So with the insurance coverage now that we're trying to get for our patient to incorporate them into this, it will really go a long way in opening up access to care because some of these patients are discouraged coming to the hospital because they know when they come to the hospital, they may be required to do a thing or two that will require finances. So if this is expanded and, this is universal in such a way that, okay, patient know it will improve access to care, it will also improve compliance to medication, and in the long term, is going to improve their overall well-being and quality of life.
All right, thank you. Dr. Waziri, we're looking at treatment protocols now. You talked about pain control. There is also the issue of blood transfusion. Matron here spoke about the medication for infection and all. But how do we ensure that some of this medication can be accessible? And what are the challenges currently? Why is it impossible for sickle cell warriors across the country to access affordable treatment and protocol, despite the fact that the government had come up with a guideline in 2012 to ensure the accessibility of treatment?
Well, if you speak about guidelines, guidelines are streamlined in such a way that they'll be able to take care of patients, sometimes also looking at the locality. Some of the things in the guideline might not be applicable in some other settings, probably because of maybe lack of capacity to carry out those things, for example. For example, we can decide to say maybe guideline for diagnosis of sickle cell, for example. You realize most centers only do electrophoresis, what we call genotype, in quote. But that is not enough. In fact, when you go outside the country, electrophoresis is even out of the loop. Yes, they do for newborn screening, they do isoelectric focusing, which is the one they are doing IVF. Then from there, they move to other ones like that. Then finally, they now confirm using some form of molecular testing, which is the final. So when you look at guidelines, you realize they might not be applicable in some instances. So for the drugs now, how can we ensure people get the drugs? There are a lot of challenges. Let me give, for example, now, a patient is having pain. And what we do most of the time is we don't give just one pain medication. We try to give different pain medications with different mechanism of action so that you'll be able to achieve the appropriate pain reduction the way you want. There are a lot of guidelines, the WHO ladder guideline, which you follow, increasing the dose. But what I'm trying to point out here is tramadol, for example, is a drug that we give our sickle cell patients. It's very, very efficient. It's very, very effective. But there's a ban on tramadol. And for me, it makes me a bit handicapped. I want to play with my analgesics. Maybe, for example, I want to give maybe diclofenac, tramadol, then paracetamol. I don't have an option because there's no, if tramadol is not there, I'll be forced to go to morphine. Morphine is not available in most institutions. Tramadol has been banned.
Why? Why is morphine not available?
Well, it's a controlled drug, and only few centers, when you go to, it's only few centers you realize they have, and most of the time they only have the syrup. You understand? So, if you don't have tramadol, for example, now, you are left with nothing. You only be playing with only two analgesics, and it gives the patient in a very long time of pain, which is not acceptable. I've tried from my own end, at least to some extent, to speak with some of the people in NDLEA to see, okay, is there a way? Yes, morphine is also a controlled drug. Tramadol, yes, make it a controlled drug, let it be available in the hospitals. If we can do that, at least it will help. Then the other drugs now, hydroxyurea, we've all mentioned hydroxyurea. It is practically beyond the reach of the common man. Yes.
Why is it?
It's because of the cost. Imagine you said 7,000 in a month, and the minimum wage is how much? 70,000. So you have removed how many percent of the total income of that family? And that family, again, possibly have maybe 2 or 3 other additional kids with sickle cell.
Can the government subsidize the cost?
Exactly. So that's what we are saying. If the government can come in, make it something that is sustainable. Don't just make it, maybe if we are just stop and you move, it should be reduced. No. Put it in a way that, okay, there should be adequate funding. For example, if you can say in a year, okay, maybe part of the basic care fund, you are removing specific percent. 5%, 10% will go to sickle cell care. You have not lost anything in that. So if we can do that, it will help. So the comprehensive care for sickle cell patients should be well covered. If it is covered, then everything is sorted out. And if you introduce newborn screening, we wouldn't even reach where we are. Because most people only get to know their status when they are about to get married.
How about the issue of misdiagnosis?
And that's why we're still talking about the newborn screening center, making it a national program. If you make it a national program where every child using your PHCs, primary healthcare centers, any child that is delivered at any of these centers, you have a way. We've done the same thing with the Arise program and some other programs where we use primary healthcare, women deliver, we take the samples on blood spots, and we take them for testing with a machine that is standardized. And when we get the diagnosis, we'll come back again with that. So if you make it a policy, a national program, in each state, you can have 3, 4, 5 centers for testing. It will go a long way in helping us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. So let me go back to you and then I'll go around. Now, you're a research fellow. Do we have data, available data, of the number of newborn screening centers in the country? And if we don't, what should be done?
Okay, for newborn screening in Nigeria, it's mostly international driven, or in some states, like you mentioned, in the case of Katsina State, that the past governor have something set up like that. But for FCT, there is a newborn screening that we are doing now, sponsored by the American Society of Hematologists. We are screening across 25 primary health cares in, I think, 4 of the area council, apart from ABUJA and Kwale area council. We are screening every other council within the FCT. So about a national registry for newborn screening, no. Wow. I'm not aware of any. But for this concert-driven, for this ASH-driven initiative, we screened over 30,000 babies within
the FCT alone.
FCT alone. Then also, as part of still international-driven initiative, we have the Sickle Pan-African Research Consortium Nigeria Network, which is a network of hematologists, pediatrists in about 25 tertiary hospitals in Nigeria that are working together for advocacy, research, implementation science, and a whole lot of that. So within this PACNet registry, we have about, I think, close to 11,000 sickle cell warriors enrolled in the registry. But this is not government, okay? And I don't think there is any other registry in Nigeria for sickle cell disease that have this number of patients.
My heart
and
is
equally
broken.
have this spread.
My heart is broken.
So
really broken.
It's a work in progress, okay? It's a work in progress, but we need more from the part of the government, because these funds will dry up if you follow international politics. Recently, at some point, the funders from the US, they suspended grants across Africa, and some projects that are ongoing might never come back because that fund have dried up. So for you to sustain newborn screening, for you to have a registry of patients, you need legislation, you need policy that is driven by government. The government needs to own it, okay? Like, let me digress a little bit. If you look at the other diseases now, like maybe say AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, okay, maybe on the part of AIDS, the government might have a registry because the big money goes in that direction. But it's recently that people start paying attention to sickle cell disease. So on the part of government, well, there are policies on paper. Like I think last year, the Federal Ministry of Health adopted point-of-care tests for screening. But at the moment,
what do you call it?
Point-of-care testing.
It's
an alternative way of newborn screening where you can make diagnosis of sickle cell in a newborn, even at birth, right at the labor ward there, within a day, from birth, you can make that diagnosis. So they adopted it, but it has not kicked off across the country.
Why is implementation of policies in this country such a Herculean task?
Well,
I wonder. I mean, considering what warriors actually go through, one would imagine that the government will take this very seriously. Let me go back to Haji Arabi. There are a number of myths surrounding sickle cell. I recall back in the day, when a child is born multiple times over in a family and the child passes, they just imagine that the child is an abiku, born to die. I hope I got that right, Senami. That's Yoruba. Okay, born to die. Perhaps such children had sickle cell conditions at the time, so they were, tagged abiku. In 2025, we still have people who believe in certain myths that sickle cell warriors do not live long, that two AS partners cannot get married, and that there is no cure at all. Can you quickly tell us if these are myths or misconceptions?
Okay, yes. As you said, in the olden days, you have Abiku, we have Obanje, and even in my, where I come from, the north, they'll say it's Aljanu that is worrying the child. There's nothing you will not hear. So I believe that, yes, most of these kids probably had sickle cell or some other genetic condition that happened to them. Well, the myths cannot be true, of course, because as we know, it's a myth. Before the age of, sickle cell is actually the second killer of children after malaria, between the ages of 1 to 5. Of course, because there is no proper medical care at all. There's no proper medical care, so children, of course, will pass through that stage of. We went to a village some time back, and we saw a child tied to with a lot of sticks and some other herbs and all that on the leg. And so that's doing one of our KCBC. And the child has been crying for God knows how long, for days, as the mother said, that they thought that it was, she felt that and had what they call it, maybe she had a sprain or something on the leg. And this is just a sign that the child was developing, that she had, it was just a hand and leg syndrome. The child was developing that she had sickle cell, But instead of going to the hospital, they had their own cultural belief. So they tied her with a lot of sticks, and God knows how long this child has been suffering in pain. So we tend to encourage people that this is not, it's not a spiritual problem. Sickle cell is not a spiritual problem. It's a medical condition. So we encourage people to actually take them to the hospital for proper diagnosis. Take them to the hospital for proper diagnosis, so that this kind of myth can stop, And then people don't die. Right now, there are a lot of medical advancement, a lot of advancement in drugs and medical care. So now you have warriors that are up to 90 years. Even beyond 90 and all that. So it's improving by the day because of the medical care now. You can actually manage, just like managing diabetes and other medical conditions. The best way to go about sickle cell is management. So when you manage properly, you get a good rate. People can actually, warriors can live a relatively normal life, And then that's about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Hajarabi. Now, Matron, just quickly run us through what your research center will be doing moving forward to find the future treatment for sickle cell. That's affordable, accessible as well.
Basically care. And like hydroxyurea has proved to reduce the hospitalization and increase fetal hemoglobin, thereby making them have less crisis. So we are hoping that, as they have promised, that they are going to incorporate it into the health insurance for them to have access.
But it's not attractive for providers, actually.
Yeah, that's how I'm coming to that area. Because even at the teaching hospital, they will tell you it's not available. So we have another research we are doing that we're trying to assess even with penicillin. Penicillin is expensive, they cannot put it in health insurance. So recently they have included it also. And we've told our mothers, we've gone to the pediatrics to let them know that these drugs are now available. Please go and assess it. If you're having any problems with assessing it, let us know. Then we go back and tell them that this that you have said we've done, these are the things, challenges that they are facing. So way forward is health insurance, and they have registered into the Basic Healthcare Fund, and we are hoping that for those who could not re-register, we are still going to make a plea to them to make it open for them to register, because that's the only thing we can do. Even if we do out of pocket to maybe help them to maybe help reduce the burden, it can never be enough. Because on admission, you are sure that for someone who is under health insurance, you pay little or nothing.
All right, thank you, Matron. Dr. Waziri, tell us about blood transfusion and why it is very important, why it is an essential lifeline, and how we can improve, or rather the question will be, should there be a special center for blood donation targeted at sickle cell warriors?
Should there be a special center? Well, that's a very difficult one to answer because even the centers that we have, the zonal centers for the National Blood Service Agency, some of them are not functioning to the maximum, you understand? So the only thing we can do is to continue with the advocacy that people should donate blood. And the other thing again is we should increase our own capacity that in terms of being able to give some specialized forms of treatment when it comes to even the transfusion. If paralysis is there, where you can remove part of the blood, you give another blood, something like that. So all these actually help a lot. If you ask me to talk about transfusion and sickle cell, I can take the whole day talking about transfusion. It's a huge topic. But lastly, I would just want to mention that when you come to access blood from the National Blood Agency, you only pay a token of 10,000 naira.
Amazing.
So this is, if you look at it, looking at what we have done, considering the blood bag, the number of tests we're doing, using ELISA testing for hepatitis B, C, HIV, every other thing, even the storage, the manpower and everything, you realize that 10,000 is actually very, very minimal. It takes us 45,000. It takes 45,000 naira for us to completely screen one unit. So the government is actually subsidizing and is giving it at a token of 10,000 naira.
That sounds positive. All right, Dr. Moni, would you advocate for more newborn screening centers across the country? We know that the government is playing a little or no role in that regard, but what would you say to development partners and perhaps Nigerians living in other parts of the country who believe that sickle cell warriors deserve special treatments in the country?
Okay, for newborn screening, I think it should be universal. Okay, it should be part of the right of every individual that's pregnant and their baby. You should screen them. Okay.
But can't that be done at the primary health level?
Yes,
we have primary health centers across the nook and crannies of this country, and one wonders if they are not empowered enough to do this screening at that level.
Okay, we actually screen in primary healthcare centers within the FCT. What we did initially was to do capacity building, train the staffs of those primary healthcare to assist with the sample collection. Then we do the pickup to a central lab where we run the test. Okay. Because the method we are using for the newborn screening is the isoelectric focusing. It's a bit technical, okay, and requires some training. So we've trained them on collecting the sample. And most primary healthcare centers within the FCT have that expertise already because they are trained in PMTC on collecting dry blood sample. So we just leverage on that expertise and we are screening. So it should be across the whole country, down to the rural centers. It shouldn't just be in urban areas because it's very important. We are looking at just sickle cell disease in this panel discussion. There are other genetic diseases also that can be detected through newborn screening. In some countries like Philippines, I think they have about 19 genetic diseases, including sickle cell disease, that they screen from their newborn screening. So it should be universal. Okay, and funding, government has a role to play.
Sadly, I'm being prompted to round up the
government has
conversation.
a role to play, NGOs, and it's everybody's business.
I would love to throw it open to the floor. I don't know if anybody has any question to ask. So if you have any question to ask, please feel free to ask a question. We'll take 2 questions because obviously we've run out of time. Yes, please. A question. Just a comment. Okay.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful. I don't know why you left broadcasting, but whatever you are doing, just keep doing it. Make sure you don't leave the space. We listened to a master class, gentlemen and ladies, from Dr. Waziri. He said it was a brief, it was more like an impromptu invitation, but for me, that was a master class. This is the best I have listened to concerning this, and I think I can live here to educate people as a communication person. I do not have a question other than to tell us that what we are doing here is wonderful. It's amazing that we have educated people in special area gathered here to educate us on something that is a major crisis, a major disorder that we seem not to give the attention that it requires. And what the Ohiomokhare have done for us now is to recover from the pain of losing a child and then rally us to focus on that, which had made them a victim, but which they have recovered from, and then to prevent other people from being victims. I want to thank us for being here and for participating in this conversation, but I want to ask us that this shouldn't stop here, that we should continue from here to share meaning with other Nigerians about this challenge and to see what level of advocacy can come concerning the discussion. Because I've listened to you, I was reflecting with Austin, you have made fantastic statements. I want to ask you, Dr. Emmanuel, you and your wife, is it possible for us to have a communique after here so that it becomes also an advocacy document for us to say we need this concerning national screening, we need this concerning intervention? We have been reflecting with Austin concerning donor. No, we need to go beyond donor to have a sustainable process of managing a major health challenge. Please, let's have even 5 paragraph communique from here so that some of us use this as a tool of advocacy. Once again, I thank you all for coming here. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that suggestion. I think it's about time we come up with very, very stringent, sustainable treatment protocols for sickle cell warriors, because I mentioned earlier that I lost some relatives, right? What I didn't mention, however, is that I also lost 2 siblings to this condition. And this was about 3 or 4 decades ago. So it's time that Nigeria gets serious about getting treatment protocols for sickle cell warriors. Thank you so much, sir. And I'd like to thank our panelists, Hajia Rabi. Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us. I mean, it's not easy, but it's easy at the end of the day. Thank you so much. And thank you, Juliet Yobosa. Thank you, Dr. Waziri and Dr. Moni. Thank you. And thank you, audience, for listening to us. Okay, that's fine.
Please, I thought we'll do better than that for our very wonderful panelists and our extraordinary moderator. So let's have this brief photo session with the founders first, and then everyone in the hall will come up stage and take a group picture with the panelists and the founders. And immediately after that, I believe there is a goodwill message from a very good friend of Jephthah's. So we'll screen that even as we get ready for the art exhibition. Once again, we would like to thank our speakers. No, do not go anywhere. We need to take everyone. Please, can you join us on stage? Everyone, can you come up stage? Everyone, please. Thank you very much. We deeply appreciate every one of you, our speakers, Dr. Waziri. I remembered about 25 years ago when I was supposed to be a doctor. The JAM score I got then could only make me a native doctor, not medical doctor. But then having the likes of Dr. Waziri deliver a masterpiece in the words of Dr. Lani, we appreciate every one of you, our speakers, our volunteers, our donors who are already donating out there. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know Jephthah is sincerely thankful to every one of you. Can we have the kids in front, the children, go forward. Can we have the children in front, please? The children, go forward, go forward, go forward. Go forward. The art exhibition will commence immediately, but please, media, if we have the video from the friend of Jephthah's, the goodwill message video, we could screen that as well.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. My name is TK Agama, and Jephthah was one of my closest friends. Jephthah and I met in high school, and we were both art students, so we spent a lot of time together. Throughout school, Jephthah was always encouraging me to work harder, to do better, to push more, to try more. And that's just the kind of person Jephthah was. He saw the good. Hello everyone. My name is TK Agama, and Jephthah was one of my closest friends. Jephthah and I met in high school, and we were both art students, so we spent a lot of time together. Throughout school, Jephthah was always encouraging me to work harder, to do better, to push more, to try more. And that's just the kind of person Jephthah was. He saw the good in you that you sometimes didn't even see in yourself. He saw the potential that you may not have seen in yourself, and he was always pushing you to be better and do better. He was a fantastic human being and a fantastic soul. And Jephthah's legacy was always to go further. And that's a legacy that I'm so glad that we get to honor today with this event and with every other event post this. It's a beautiful thing that we've done. We've come together, and I'm so grateful and I'm so proud of everyone who spent their time and energy in making this a reality. It's fantastic. May God bless you. And I also want to say a big, big thank you to the never-failing perseverance of Auntie Senami, Uncle Emmanuel, Igwe, Jeremy, and Juthan. You are fantastic. You are the best and most amazing people to spread this message. And we are all blessed as a society to have you so dedicated to doing that. May God bless you. Thank you everyone for attending this event. I hope you interact. I hope you communicate with other people. I hope you mingle. And may God bless you. And have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Dr. Emmanuel Omar. Can we celebrate Dr. Emmanuel, ladies and gentlemen? Make it louder, make it louder.
Good afternoon, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, young men and young ladies. I'm talking of the children who. I am absolutely happy that you all came to support the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation. I am really glad, and I must thank you all for staying up till this time. Some of you have been here from 10, 9, and you have stayed up till now. And for those who couldn't even stay, I want to say thank you. I want to thank the National Blood Agency, National Blood Service Agency, for your partnership. Dr. Waziri, you guys are wonderful. And we want to believe this is the beginning of our partnership. We will continue like this going forward. I want to also thank Africa Independent Television, my former workplace, who is represented by the General Manager Admin and Human Resources, Mr. Afe Ugui. I want to thank you for partnering with us, the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation. Jephthah was like a sub-staff of AIT, so and his family with AIT. So we're happy that AIT is partnering with us. I want to thank other media houses that supported us: Arise Television, News Central, Channels Television, Nigerian Info, all the media houses that have Love FM, thank you, Love FM, that have supported us, and of course Classic FM. They were here, they came to support us for this event. We must also thank the artists who donated their works and said, once we sell the works, this percentage will be for the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation. Thank you very much to the group of artists that did this. Please, if the artists are around, can you stand up? They are led by Etuk. Thank you very much. These are the artists that did these works. You can, thank you very much, Mr. Sit down. You can hear somebody doing woo, woo. It's because she too is an artist. That's my daughter. She's an artist, so she's very happy that her community is here. I also want to thank every friend and family that have come in here. You are all my family. I don't want to call you friends. Look at Pastor Ben, who is the head of the men's fellowship in House on the Rock here. We want to thank the support that you've given us. We want to thank another pastor from House on the Rock. She sat down there, Pastor Toju Briggs. Thank you very much. I want to thank the I community for coming to support us. Thank you to the I community. Thank you to my family. I am short of words because I never, even though I expected that this thing will come out well, I didn't expect it to come out so well. Forget the attendance. I'm not bothered about the attendance. I am more bothered about the way it has come out, the information that have come out of here, the advocacy that has come out of this. And that is what is more important for us. My wife and I this morning, when we prayed, we pledged to God that this foundation is not for our profits. We shall not profit from this foundation. It is solely for humanity. And we intend to do that in memory of Jephthah. Jephthah was a very wonderful man. I mean, I call him a man now because he would have been 24 going on 25 now. Jephthah was a very wonderful man, and he loved a lot, and he was a man full of wisdom. And I know he's smiling right now. So we are not. Last time I came on this stage and I was talking about Jephthah, I was weeping. But I'm happy that I'm smiling today that I'm talking about Jephthah. So I want to thank every one of you for coming. Thank you very much for coming. You have done noble. You have done so much. And I want to say again, sorry, I will do this again. Please clap for yourselves again. So on behalf of the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation, we want to welcome you to the art exhibition. We'll soon be closing this hall, but we want you to look at the art exhibition first before we close down the hall and see whether you can pick up something, a painting or two. And thank you all. For those of you who have donated, we received a lot of donations even while you were in the hall. We received a lot of donations. Thank you very much for this. We will also have one small chat while the art exhibition is going on. Small chat with you, 5-10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, at most 15 minutes, we'll all be done from here. God bless you. I'm a talker, just like everybody knows, communicator. But so I would like to stop here and hand over to Josh. My name is Emmanuel Imewore Ohiomokhare.
Please, can we all rise and give him a standing ovation as he returns, and the co-founder as well. Can we celebrate them with a round of applause? Thank you, thank you. As we all have heard, the art exhibition is officially open, and we'll be having a quick chat there. But whatever we do, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep standing for life, let's keep standing for hope, and show kindness to any and every sickle cell warrior out there. God bless you. Joshua Rabome is my name. It's been an honor serving every one of you. Please, let's advance to the art exhibition space, and after then we'll have a chit chat there. Remember to network. Dr. Lani is still here. My sister Rabbi is still here. Yes, you can still donate. The people have been donating, so if you haven't donated, you can go out and donate after taking some, time at the, exhibition space, okay? Yes, remember to donate blood, and the finances also. Ask for the account details, but most importantly, make sure you leave this space with an artwork, all right? Knowing fully well that you will be donating also partly to the Jephthah Ohiomokhare Sickle Cell Foundation. Thank you once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, while we're still at it, please put your hands together if your hands are not too busy for Josh Ararume. He was one of those, this is his contribution to what we have done today. And I'm so grateful to you, brother. Thank you so much. You've done fantastically well. God bless you.
Fantastic. I agree.